Welcome to 3 Steps. This is the second part of a 3-part interview with Krishan Khalsa. If you missed the first one, follow the link right here. Now, who is Krishan Khalsa? Well, he's an audio engineer out of LA. He ran a record company. He is Grammy nominated. He runs a production company and does festivals. That's his bio. But who he is to me, he's a badass. This guy is a community builder. He is a light in the room. He is a spiritual man that doesn't come off as preachy spiritual guy. He's actually the guy that's like calm and winds up cutting through the BS in a moment when everyone's feeling tense. He just comes in like a warm knife and goes, slice, thump. Hey guys, have you thought about this? And we're like, awesome! So that's Krishan to me. So what he talks about in this interview, he talks about his path to becoming a man and how that led him to men's teams and how he joined a men's team and the impact of having solid men in his life, what that did for him, how that freed him up into the ability to choose into the kind of man he wanted to be. Finally, he talks about the courses that he took and the workshops he's done, and he gives a piece of advice about those things, a little cautionary tale, and he also goes into final conversation about healing his inner child and the process he's gone through with that. All right, let's get to it.
Tell me more about the path, like the route you took to that, to getting to choosing what masculinity meant for you. Because I know, like, I was, raised by my mom, so it was like, what do you want? Here's the buffet. Go figure it out. Because I can't do it for you. I mean, I'm working at home, or I'm working, all night and all day, and don't have time for this. I'm a woman. Yeah. So for you, what was your path to masculinity like?
I've had a long path, and I'm still working on it.
Totally,
and I feel like the last few years I've started to really sink into feeling grounded and feeling like I've got some shit figured out. Like I know where I'm headed. But yeah, I went to boarding school in India when I was a kid, and my parents were fighting, and then they got divorced when I was 15, and then just all this fallout happened around that stuff.
Right.
Me trying to find my independence at an age where I was just kind of like angry about everything, and so I just had many years working through my own personal stuff, let alone trying to figure out my identity as a man.
Yeah.
But after college, I moved out here to California, and one of my close friends that went to boarding school in India with me, he was living out here, and he was on a men's team.
Yeah.
And he saw me going through my shit after I moved out here, and he was like, "Hey, come to a meeting."
They won't know what that means. We know what that means, but they
So I can explain it a little bit if you want. But I didn't really know what it was at the time, but he said, it's just a group of men. We meet once a week. We support each other. We help each other out. If something comes up, we bring it to the meeting and figure it out from there. And so I went, and I was on that team for 7 years.
Yeah.
And we met once a week, every week, religiously. And there were multiple trainings that I went through over the course of those years, just kind of like weekend seminars, 3-4 day intensives of like breaking down a lot of spiritual, emotional baggage and working through it and figuring out new tools, all that stuff. But over the course of those 7 years with that team of men, it was pretty much the same team for those 7 years. We had a couple people come and go along the way, but that was the first time for me that I actually had men that I could depend on in my life. Because my dad wasn't really around. He worked 7 days a week. Yeah. And when he got home, he was tired and didn't want to deal with anybody.
Right.
So I couldn't really use him as an example. And in boarding school, it was kind of like Lord of the Flies, everyone for themselves kind of thing. So like I didn't have any role models there.
Yeah.
And I ended up being super introverted as a kid and didn't really talk to anyone. So it was easiest for me to be friends with girls when I was young.
Totally. Right here.
Yeah.
That fucking worked for me too. Yeah.
So it wasn't until I joined the men's team that I had friends that were men. I was super intimidated by men. I thought all men were evil. And so that I would like really struggle with my identity as a man.
Couldn't trust them.
Yeah, totally.
Happen. Yeah, totally.
But over time, as I was held accountable and kind of called on my shit and supported through a lot of like my own healing through my childhood traumas and all that kind of stuff, I was able to slowly but surely over time let stuff go.
Yeah.
And step more into just who I was, who I wanted to be. And I think that's one of the shifts that happened for me, is that at some point I decided that it's what I want to be.
Yeah.
Not what I should be,
or supposed
or
to.
other people think I should be,
Yeah.
or society thinks I should be.
Mm-hmm.
I can create it any way I want. And that was really, there wasn't really one pivotal moment. It was kind of a lot of little tiny moments where I got support in the right place from the right person.
Right.
That I got to that point of really coming into my own and feeling confident in myself to define who I was, not just as a man, but as a person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's powerful though. That's the for me, that's like the end goal. And the goal is always moving. Like it's always moving.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Mm-hmm.
There's a good question to ask you.
Yeah.
What growth work have you done? What things have you done that you'd recommend?
That I'd recommend.
You can give the caveats to each one if you want, you know.
Well,
I was given the go in, listen to them like it's the word of God, come out, make a decision afterwards if you want to keep that data.
Thing. I mean, I've done a lot of different things, but what's helped me out is that I've gone in for me, and I've gotten the most out of it that I can, and then I leave the bullshit aside.
Yeah. Because there's always politics.
There's always weird shit. Like the men's organization I was a part of for 7 years, there was weird shit there. I did MITT, Mastery and Transformational Training, last year with my partner, which was amazing. But there's some fucking weird shit there. And, you know, I've read a lot of books, but the books are all slanted also. So
everyone's got an angle.
I think that there's so many tools out there, they're all great. And my approach has been to go into it, fully be in it, and then leave with the things that are important to me. So I think with self-growth, it's tricky because I see people go into a self-growth thing and then the change is so dramatic for them that they take it on as like the thing. And then that's the thing. That's the thing, and they've got to tell everybody else about the thing, and that's the thing. Everybody's got to do it, and everything else is bullshit. And that's kind of like
very religious of you.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me. But to my child self, I think I've gotten closer to my child self over the years. As I get older, my younger self is like more in my arms all the time. You know, because he comes up frequently. Like the more I let him, he'll come up, and there's trauma that even though I've done a ton of healing around, it'll still come up.
Yeah, totally.
There'll be a day where I'm just super spiky and for no reason and nothing happened in my life, but I'll just throw a tantrum or a fit about something, and as long as I can come out of it afterwards and be like, I was a dick there. Yeah. And that was I can see that's not from where I'm coming from now. That was from before, but I'm going to love and accept myself rather than beat myself up. Totally. And just move on. Yeah. Because I think at the end of the day, we all want to feel loved and cared for, and that little boy in me never goes away. Totally. If I try to like pretend or think that I'm all grown up, I've got it all figured out, and I'm past that stuff. What a trap, man! It's a trap. And then the little boy will kick up and get upset, and if I try to push that away, then it just gets worse and worse and worse. So back to that theme of like surrender and just allowing things to happen and just acknowledge it and be kind to myself.
There's an NLP technique about future past and not being able to have the future without your past having consent, and making sure that younger version of yourself gives consent. And the only way that younger version of yourself can give consent is if the present self makes it safe for the younger self that we can have that. Yeah. And so there's this whole process. It's really quick, takes less than 5 minutes, but it's really beautiful. And there's a way, the thing that I love and appreciate about it most is that you're not making yourself wrong for the choices you made growing up, because as an adult, you are ruled by decisions you made when you were a 6, 9, 10, 12, 15-year-old child without the skill sets that you now as an adult have. Yeah. And so they're like stamping their feet, very adamant, that is wrong and that's not right and we can't do that, and it's all going to go blow up in your face. And it's like, but wait, you don't have the skills I do, right? So it's like making it safe for them, giving them the skills, and then caretaking that and appreciating and loving that part of you, you know, and having that move forward with you. It's fucking beautiful stuff. Yeah. So yeah, it's right. That's good stuff. Right on. Yeah. Well, thank you.
My pleasure.
Right on, man. Later.
See you.
Hit that like button. Help us reach 100 subscribers. Hit the bell. Get the notifications. Leave a comment down below. And by all means, join us on the Facebook group and be a part of the discussion. We'll see you on Friday.